Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Chitutu and thanks for clicking on to this video. I'm going to be sharing with you guys the five practical lessons that I learned from high school. I mean, besides obvious things besides obvious things that we learn in class, the history, the bio, the math, etc. Like, I was just asking myself, what exactly did I learn from being inside high school? Okay, from being in high school, from those 5 years of being in school, what exactly did I learn? What exactly did I come out with? Like, how did it change me? How did it not change me? What did I learn? One of the reasons why I found myself thinking of this is because lately I've been in the habit of asking myself where certain things come from, like where certain behaviors of mine come from, where certain beliefs of mine come from, certain ideas that I have about life, about stuff, like where did they come from? And that is sort of what led me to thinking about these 5 practical lessons that I learned in high school. So the first thing that I learned in high school was rationing. This is basic, just rationing of stuff, rationing of everything in general. I mean, you go into school with a set number of things and you can't necessarily just restock whenever they finish, you know what I'm saying? Usually you have to wait for a weekend, like a visiting weekend, or a weekend that you'll go home, or like when your parents come to see you. So yeah, in high school I learned how to ration. Practical, right? Second thing that I learned in high school was closet organization. I try to keep my closet as organized as possible. I try to fold my clothes in like a straight pile and color coordinate as much as possible. Right now I think I have definitely slacked quite a bit. However, yeah, that was something practical that I learned in high school, to be very organized. And I think this came from the inspections and all of those things. I think it really did help me, and it brings me peace to have all my things like nicely folded. It's refreshing. I just like it. The other thing that I learned in high school is that if you want to have good friends, you need to be a good friend as well. So I think this I learned in discipleship. Instead of always having the focus on I want good friends, like I want to find good friends, or I want to be around good friends, you need to also focus as a person on being a good friend. And also it also taught me that besides you wanting certain attributes out of people, like besides you wanting your friends to sort of bring something to the table, you need to think about what do you add to the friendship, like what do you add to the scenario, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Like not just I want people who do this, I want people who are smart. Are you smart? Because like you find those smart people, and do those smart people want to be around you? You know what I'm saying? Like, so basically, if you want to have good friends, you also need to focus on being a good friend yourself. The fourth thing that I learned in high school is that the lessons that we learn at church are not always useful in that moment, but they can end up being useful for other situations in our lives, or even just to advise others and things like that. And I think this came about one Sunday. I can't remember which teacher we asked, but basically it was like, what's the point in us going to church every Sunday? It's not every Sunday that you feel like you want to go and fellowship, or it's not every Sunday that you feel like you've got burdens to lay down. It's not every Sunday that you just feel like going to church. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes there's nothing wrong, you just don't want to go to church, you want to be lazy, you just want to sleep. So yeah, the reason that she gave us was that you might not find whatever it is that you learn useful today, or for any time in this moment, but sometimes things that you learned a while ago, it might end up being applicable in the future. It might end up being applicable for someone's life, and you will have to be the one to sort of like you'll be the one to relay that message to them. So that's the use of going to church every Sunday. The fact that even if what you learned today is not necessarily useful or helpful, it doesn't feel like it's useful or helpful in the moment, eventually it will end up being useful and helpful to you or someone else. So that was something I learned. The last thing I learned was quiet time. So I had never heard of quiet time before this. I think maybe I had heard of doing devotion and stuff, but just basically having a quiet time in the morning where you sit down and you're just quiet, you listen to yourself, you listen to God, you journal. If you don't want to pray, you just have a moment or just time that you sit to yeah, be quiet, to be still and to compose yourself, to speak to God, to pray, and just, you know, gather yourself. And I think this is something, this is a practical lesson that I learned in high school, and I found that, you know, even in life outside high school, in the life afterwards, it has been very helpful to sit and have a quiet time, you know, whether or not I'm going to use it to pray, whether or not I'm going to use it to do devotion. It's just important to have a moment of silence in your life. And, you know, if you can do it every day, the better, because you get to discover a lot about yourself. You get to, you know, just be calm, because life can be loud, life can be a lot, and quiet time is really helpful. With that said, those are the 5 practical lessons that I learned in high school, and I would just like to urge you guys to ask yourself, you know, when you're doing certain things, like, you know, or when you catch yourself thinking certain thoughts, ask yourself where those thoughts come from. And yeah, maybe you want to keep them. If they're good, if they're bad, then let them go, but don't just allow yourself to sort of be stuck in the same systems just because, you know, you don't even know why. Actually, sometimes you don't even know why you think certain things or do certain things. But it's important to ask yourself where you got certain things from, and decide whether you want to keep them in your life or not, whether you want to keep them in your heart or not. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, you guys. This is the perfect moment if you want to share with me something that you learned, or if you want to share not just with me but like everybody else that is in the comment section. If you want to share something practical that you have maybe thought of now that you've heard my 5 points, yeah, if you want to share, or if you don't mind sharing something practical or something that you learned besides the obvious things in class, besides the academics, something practical that you learned, whether in high school, whether in uni, even in primary school, wherever it is that you learned, anything that you anything that you have carried on from a certain time in your life, this is the time to hit the pause button and comment down below with that thing or those things if there's more than one. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to share, to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Toodles noodles.